As they shuffled through the last turnstile, they waved back at their loved ones on the dock. From this distance, with the masks, you couldn't read their expressions, let alone their lips, but the ones left behind had a lost look. They dabbed their eyes, or hugged each other, or stood very upright, as if to prove that saying goodbye was nothing to make a fuss about. Further back, behind a line of police, a handful of protesters waved placards. Cleary strained to read the block letters. Ship rats. Deserters. Travel makes trouble. Close all borders. This city they were leaving was not home. Beyond the barricades and old brick buildings rose Liverpool, a place they'd only seen in passing. Getting here had taken ages. All those appointments back in Dublin, the endless questions, his ma surrendering their data, gene profiles, health records, head reports. They'd jogged on a treadmill, been poked with needles, had their eyesight and hearing checked. He'd failed that one, of course, but his ma had argued their way through, shown his apt tests and references. They'd touched their toes, puffed hard into a tube, had their irises scanned, worn monitors for weeks, and these past few days at the depot, more tests and meds, mouth swabs, skin scrapes, pills to swallow, a nasty jab that left him feeling faint. They'd coughed into bags, pissed into containers, they'd even shat in one. That hadn't been easy. Now, finally, they were off. As the last of the crowd trickled aboard the ship, Cleary felt a great tiredness sweep over him, and pictured the cabin where they'd sleep. A round porthole, soft beds, a vid-screen, a table set for two, plates piled with roast meat, the real stuff made from actual cows, plus spuds and gravy, and for afters, fancy cake, just like the one that sank. A rare treat, proper cake. He planned to have 3 pieces. His ma tugged his arm. They cleared the final turnstile, and there was the gangway, sloping up to the ship. She stepped onto it right foot first for good luck, and Cleary did likewise. They crossed the strip of grey-green water onto the deck. A silver-haired man with rosy cheeks saluted them, gold braid on his cuffs and shoulders, and Cleary returned the salute. The captain he must be. The deck smelt of salt and wet rope, and here the mood had shifted. Passengers emerging from below had a distracted air, and those who'd jostled to board now stood at the rail, gazing landward, as if they wanted to cross back over, as if they'd changed their minds or left something important ashore. Now the dock was almost empty, just a scatter of police and workmen and the people who'd been left behind. The gap between ship and dock was too wide to jump, the water beneath them a broad moat, the gunwale like the parapet of a castle. As the drawbridge was reeled in, Cleary gave his subjects below a kingly wave. A few strangers waved back, and some raised their heads as if calling out, masked messages he couldn't guess at from this distance. As workmen swung the last of the cargo aboard, a flurry passed along the deck, vibrations, heads turning, fingers pointing. Craning his neck, Cleary tracked the fuss to its source. Splashed down the side of the dock, invisible from dry land, ran a violent slash of red. Tall as a house and shining wet, the crimson bolt streaked down into the waterline. Blood. Some huge sea monster slaughtered here, thrashing itself senseless against the dock before sinking to the bottom to die. Fear jellied his muscles, his mind filled with footage of the serpent, some diabolical creature of the deep, blood erupting from its mouth. His granda had told him about these monsters, huge mutants that patrolled the pitch-black reaches of the ocean floor, their genes scrambled by generations of toxic spills and sickened prey. Granda saw one once, out past Skibbereen, scared the bejesus out of him. The old man had rolled his eyes back in their sockets, acting out a monster driven mad by hate and hunger. A creature like that, it could creep up behind you, burst out of the water and snatch you off the deck, crack your spine with a single crunch. Cleary's ma shook him, breaking the spell. She mimed a sweeping motion, then pulled her mask aside to mouth some words. He